The town's most recent regulations on the storage of hazardous materials were written in the 1980s and revised in the 1990s. Public health experts in town have spent months looking over the existing documents and creating more rigorous rules.
They were outdated. They were established back in the 80s, and I think we wanted to review them.
Right now, companies that store a certain amount of hazardous materials have to pay a fee and register with the town government. Under the new rules, companies will need to apply for a permit, which will give the town much more authority to keep a chemical out of town or revoke permission for a company that's not being safe.
Instead of a registration, this regulation requires that a permit be obtained. The bylaw requires that any institution storing hazardous materials in a cumulative quantity of 220 pounds, which is about 25 gallons, depending upon the material. The regulation has the same threshold, so it's the 220 pounds or 25 gallons. However, we have added extremely hazardous substances above the EPA threshold planning quantity. So there's a list, and that's provided in your backup material, of those extremely hazardous substances. And any EHS that is above the 220 pounds, where the threshold is above the 220 pounds or 25 gallons, has been highlighted on that list. So you can see on that list which chemicals would qualify for having to get a permit.
Hazardous materials have been in the news lately following the derailment of a train full of harmful compounds in Ohio this February. Chair of the Board of Health, Dr. Ed Weiner, says the board was already looking into updating its rules before that incident took place.
The Burlington Board of Health and its staff have been working to update this antiquated bylaw for months. We have created a regulation, something that can be a living document and something that can be changed as the environment changes and as the companies come to this community with different types of agents. But this is not in response to anything that just happened in Ohio. We've been working on this for a long time.
The new rules go into effect immediately. The Board of Health plans to ask town meeting to rescind the older bylaws in September. For B News, I'm Sydney Bowles.